evening and welcome to the Wednesday, April 13th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. A couple things before we start. Any cell phones, I gotta check my own, or other electronic devices, if you'd please silence them, be greatly appreciated. If you're here to speak on any of the applications this evening, and we encourage you to do so, we just ask that you go to the podium, state your name to the recording secretary. Please speak into the microphone because we're being recorded by FCTV. Okay, first up this evening is other business. A presentation by the 300 Committee on a new land acquisition and a request that the Conservation Commission hold the conservation restriction.
I'm Jessica Rittenauer. I'm the administrator of the 300 Committee Land Trust, and the president of the 300 Committee Land Trust is here as well, Tom Stone, and Leonard Johnson, former president and current board member, and also a member of our land acquisition committee. So I'm going to present the land parcel that the 300 Committee is planning to purchase and talk about the features of the property, why we selected it, but really focus on what the Conservation Commission's role in this is, what we hope your role would be. We have a proposal to partner as a public-private partnership. And then all of us will be available for if there are questions that you have. But right off the bat, I want to share the...
Jess, can you, thank Jamie, I was going to say, can you keep the, thank you. Perfect.
The center one. Center is the second one.
So the project title is...
that on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shallow Pond Woodlands, 69.7 acres to be permanently protected as open space. This property is right on Shallow Pond. It has 1,200 feet of frontage on Shallow Pond, and Shallow Pond is an 11.6 acre great pond designated by the Commonwealth. It has frontage on Thomas Landers Road. Major features are the size of the property, the undisturbed forest cover, and the linkage. The director of the Compact of Cape Cod Conservation Trust, Mark Robinson, when he learned that we had reached agreement with the owners of this property, said this is the largest remaining parcel of undisturbed, undeveloped residential land on Cape Cod. It is wonderful that the 300 Committee Land Trust is securing it for permanent protection. This is a very significant acquisition for open space for the 300 Committee and for Falmouth. The property itself is owned by D'Addario Enterprises, LLC. So folks on the Conservation Commission or who have worked with the 300 Committee over the years may have heard of this as the D'Addario parcel. During the land bank days, the land bank committee negotiated with the D'Addario trustees. This has long been on the list of properties that the 300 Committee has selected for acquisition. Our records go back to 1994. So we're talking over 20 years. Why was it selected as our top priority? The linkage is one of the most intriguing values in this in terms of conservation. The Breivogel Conservation Area, 67.3 acres to the west. That is where there's active restoration going on right now, vernal pool creation, and a sand plain grassland project. There's existing ponds that were created by the former owner, Carl Breivogel. And as you reach the edge of the Breivogel parcel, you see the forest cover, and that trail system would connect beautifully to a trail system at the D'Addario parcels. And we're calling them Shallow Pond Woodlands for the acquisition project name. And across Thomas Landers Road is the Walden Fender conservation property. That's also held by the Conservation Commission, 46.4 acres. And that was purchased with land bank funding. So this corridor would create 183 acres of permanently protected open space that would be open for the public. Conservation land with access for passive recreation and trails. A few more highlights. As you know, our Land Acquisition Committee rigorously reviews parcels and we score them to document why we think preservation is important and why we are pursuing properties for acquisition. So in this case, the fact that it's in a Zone 2, state designated, means that it will help protect Falmouth's drinking water supply. It is the Mayor's Pond municipal wellhead that would be protected in terms of drinking water. Also, Joanne Miramoto, who's on our board and Land Acquisition Committee, has pointed out that the groundwater flow is to the south-southwest towards Great Pond and Long Pond. So this also means that it serves to protect the Long Pond drinking water supply. The property has 3.8 acres of wetlands. There's an isolated shrub swamp area that Joanne feels is a potential vernal pool, so that's something that we would pursue after owning the property in terms of getting that certified. But there is a potential vernal pool, and of course the freshwater pond, shallow pond, and the undisturbed forest cover. Property is really dominated by tall white pines and oak, and Joanne and the Land Acquisition Committee did a pretty good inventory of other trees and wetland plants that we will be submitting with grant applications. And again, the linkage. I just went over that, but again, just want to reiterate that's one of the key conservation features and why this was a property that the 300 Committee was very eager to pursue. So the next part, I want to give the details of the acquisition and why we're here this evening and how the 300 Committee intends to purchase the property in partnership with the town. This acquisition, 69.7 acres, we do have a purchase and sale agreement for $1.4 million, and we would be purchasing the property from D'Addario Enterprises next March. So we have a closing date March 31st, 2017. That closing date allows time for us to apply for a community preservation grant, for a state land grant, and to do significant private fundraising. The majority of the funds for this acquisition will be raised privately by the 300 Committee. I do have a slide that details exactly how much is in the grants versus the private fundraising contribution. But just want to highlight that this type of land acquisition, at least in the past 10 years since Falmouth has had the Community Preservation Act, has really required a partnership between the 300 Committee and the Conservation Commission, so we can leverage public money and private money. So in this proposal, the 300 Committee would own and manage the property, and we're asking the Conservation Commission to agree to purchase and hold a conservation restriction. What that would do is, number one, a conservation restriction permanently protects the land. It would extinguish all development rights and ensure that the land is held in open natural condition in perpetuity. That would be the town of Falmouth's legal interest in the property. That type of transaction where the town is purchasing a CR makes this acquisition eligible for state grant and community preservation grant. Those sources require either the town to buy the land or to buy a conservation restriction. We have two choices. And in this case, the 300 Committee and our Stewardship Committee, everyone feels that we have the capability and the resources to raise the funds to buy the parcel and to manage it through our stewardship program. So here's the details on the acquisition and how we're adding up to $1.4 million. The request for the Community Preservation Fund is $250,000. That request would be going in this month. The CPC for the November town meeting set a deadline of April 25th. for grant proposals. They've also indicated that they will only consider emergency or urgent requests for funding. We did have to meet with the CPC chairman and staff to confirm that this would indeed be eligible. Because there's a closing date before April 2017 town meeting, this would qualify for consideration at least at the November 2016 town meeting. So that's a hurdle that we've worked through. The Massachusetts land grant, that's a maximum grant of $400,000. It would be submitted to the state in July with a decision around the end of 2016, possibly at the beginning of 2017. And then $750,000 is what the 300 Committee is committing to raise privately through our major donors and foundations and our membership base, and we would run a campaign to secure the $750,000 by next March. So this is an important slide, I think, because this transaction, there's really two different transactions that are happening. They're linked and they're really dependent on each other. So number one, the 300 Committee has to buy the land from D'Addario Enterprises. That's the $1.4 million. But we're counting on, hopefully, money from the town through the grants to purchase a conservation restriction. So the Community Preservation Fund grant that I just mentioned, that $250,000 would support the town's purchase of a conservation restriction. The same with the $400,000 land grant. That proposal is to support the town's purchase of the CR. In order to qualify for a $400,000 grant, the purchase price must be at least $800,000. What the state does, they have a formula and they say you're eligible for up to 50% of your purchase price with a max of $400,000. We have to demonstrate that this conservation restriction is worth at least $800,000. And with the land appraised at $1,310,000, with all of the development rights intact, the appraisal will look at what is the land worth with no development rights. The CR itself would be estimated to appraise at over $1 million, thinking of what the actual difference would be between this as a developable parcel and this as a parcel where you have no development rights. So that appraisal is a very important part of the Community Preservation Committee's review and the state and town meeting. They need to see that this is worth at least $800,000. So that appraisal work is in progress now. So the $800,000 made up of two grants, plus a portion of it would be money that the 300 Committee would donate to the town, and then it would come back into the project. This type of thing has been done several times before. T-Ticket Park is an example. The Kelly Woodland acquisition on Sippolicet Road, which is a pending land acquisition, follows this same model as well. And again, it's all about leverage of how do we buy the parcel, secure permanent protection, and leverage state and private money. And it all has to be explained very clearly to the CPC, of course, and to the state and to town meeting. So what we're asking for, what the 300 Committee is requesting, there's several different items. So first and foremost is the Community Preservation Grant that our office is preparing. So Lucy Helfrich from the 300 Committee office has prepared the grant request. We would need the Conservation Commission to serve as the applicant to the Community Preservation Committee because the request is for funds to buy the CR. We would be a co-applicant, and in the past, when we've partnered, Leonard, Tom, and I, we've been to Community Preservation Committee meetings to explain the project and to carry the ball that way. But having Concom as a co-applicant allows us to bring the project before the CPC. The same is true for the state. Now, in the second bullet item here, the applicant for the land grant, the state only allows conservation commissions to apply for that grant. So you're the only eligible applicant for that. The town manager's signature is required, so if this is voted here this evening, then we would schedule a presentation to the Board of Selectmen to describe the project to them so that they could then authorize the town manager to sign. But this is an important first step in talking with you all about it. And then, of course, purchase and hold the CR. So at this point, that's a conceptual vote, because you haven't seen the draft conservation restriction, we don't have one yet. We would have to come back to you with a draft and have that approved by all parties, and the state and the selectmen. So at this point, that's conceptual vote. We would need to know that you would be willing to do that, and then we can do the work to do the drafting. So that would be to purchase and to hold the conservation restriction. And the closing date is the same day that we buy the land, so all of this happens simultaneously. That's just a lovely picture of being out on the parcel. It's fantastic, and we really see great potential for the trail system, and really just a fabulous opportunity for Falmouth to add this really high-quality conservation land to the permanently protected inventory, and just to provide an opportunity for this wonderful linkage, open space, and passive recreation.
What's that, Jessica? Could you go back to the slide before that and just leave
Yes.
that up there?
You know what, I think I
Okay.
Jen,
Any comments or questions? Comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Looking for a motion?
Wait, that's why
I'll
I
go
want
back
that
to the
slide, so
slide
we
over
can, I
there.
think we have to just read
I
it.
can remember what it was.
You can? You're the
I
best,
think I
Betsy,
can.
I'm telling you.
So I make a motion that we agree to be the applicant on 2 grants, and that we agree to hold the CR, although that'll have to come before us again. And that's it.
Second.
Lead applicant for the community preservation, and applicant for the land grant, and hold the CR.
Okay, so you think one motion for the whole shebang will work?
Yeah. Susan got that. Making the motion to serve as the lead, Conservation Commission serve as the lead applicant for the Community Preservation Fund grant, to serve as the lead applicant for the land grant, and to purchase and hold the CR when we get to that point.
Do I have a second? We have a second by Maura. Any other comments or questions? Comments or questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. That was easy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yes,
Yeah.
to us all.
Jamie, did you get the weights while you're there?
Okay.
Yes, you do deserve a candy after that. Okay, next up
No, nobody else
is
is gonna use
minutes
it.
of March 2nd, 2016.
Nice job.
All right. Anyone read?
I only had 1 set of minutes.
I only have one second.
I have the 30th, but
I have the 30th. And I've read, I can make a motion for the 30th.
how about the 9th? Nobody's seen the 9th?
Okay, I'll have her double check those.
Okay.
I know we don't have the 16th.
I actually had them all, but I wasn't here.
You had them all?
Yeah, they were in my packet, but I wasn't here, so I can't.
They
vote.
might be in your packets downstairs, we'll double, okay?
Good night all. Good
I'm
luck.
gonna have her,
She liked me better.
Thank you.
I'm
All
gonna
right, so
have
we'll-
her
No, I only have,
Okay, so we'll go with the 30th then.
go to the 30th and I'll have her resubmit all.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to accept the minutes of March 30th.
Betsy?
I just have one correction, which I'll give to Susan, and that's on page 7, for the Eaton e-ticket pack project. Tim Santos made the comment, it says we made the changes to the maintenance plan, but they also made the changes to the notice of intent,
That's true.
which
Okay.
we needed to have done. Okay. So with that change, I'll second.
Comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Okay, first up is a request to continue a hearing under notice of intent. Perch Pond Preservation, Inc., Perch Pond Navigation Channel and nearby beaches. This has been read into the minutes already, so I won't continue. Jen?
What was that?
Perch Pond.
Perch Pond.
Oh, yes, they would like a continuance until either the 18th or the 25th. Either date would work for, and I haven't even scheduled you out that far, so which would you prefer?
18th of what?
May 18th or May 25th?
We'll go with the 18th.
Go with the 18th? Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, comments, questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. Just before I do that, how many times has this been continued?
This will be the fourth continuance,
Okay,
and it was because they have recently retained counsel. And counsel needs, Brian Wall needs a little bit of time to get up to speed.
okay.
Okay.
And what's the date we're going to do?
5/18.
5/18.
Yeah, we're starting to run short on continuances
Yeah.
on this, so. Okay, all right, so we'll get back to the vote. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. All right, request for determination of applicability. This is the lesser of the two applications. If you're here for any of these, what you want to hear is the negative on this, on any of them. Town of Falmouth Conservation, Blacksmith Shop Road, map 22-02-002-001, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to control common reed, Phragmites australis, using herbicide application methods approved by the Conservation Commission. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is out at Vogel, and the two ponds that were created by the former owner that's not part of the restoration project do have a small area of Phragmites. So we're going to attempt to eradicate it before it becomes a bigger problem. So we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed. So moved.
Second.
With Maury and Betsy. And just before we vote for this, I urge anyone who has permission to take a ride out there, if you get a chance, take a look, if you haven't already. It's quite impressive what they've done so far. So.
If any of you also want to see our time-lapse video from Friday, taking all of Friday into 10 minutes, it's also equally
amazing.
impressive.
It's really cool. So, Mike, did you have something?
They're proposing to use herbicide?
Yes.
Cut and drip.
Couldn't-
Should we be worried about the abutters? Some people are more sensitive to the use of herbicides. than others.
Butters of that property?
Yeah,
Do you remember this, do you want me to show you the slide that was just up?
yeah,
There really are no,
okay.
Butters.
I'm happy, I'm just sensitive to the...
the 300
yeah, the
committee is going
neighbors
to be
and-
one of our butters, hopefully.
And then the leaf.
There,
The leaf
it's
dump.
on the leaf dumps out there. It's off of
That's
Black
actually
Ship's
the
Moss
closest
Road.
other is the leaf dump.
Yeah.
And it's in the middle of like 30 acres.
Okay. but I'm
60
happy,
some odd
I'm
acres.
good.
67.
68.
What is the name of the herbicide?
Can you come to the microphone, sir? And just give us your name for the recording secretary.
My name is Grant Walker. I live at 71 Philadelphia Street, Mira Vista section. I wanted to know what the name of the herbicide is.
Probably be like Roundup or something very similar.
And
It doesn't say what the particular herbicide they're going to use.
It'll be rodeo or roundup.
Yeah,
More than
rodeo or
likely.
Roundup.
If it's near a wetland, it'll be rodeo. If it's not near the wetland, it'll be roundup.
It's right on the edge of that little pond, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be a
it's gotta be
rodeo.
rodeo or Roundup?
Yeah, they're both bad. But the difference is cut and drip. It's not being aerial sprayed like most homeowners take Roundup and spray their driveways and everything. This is done where
This is
they.
targeting.
They cut just the stem and they drip it inside, so there's no overspray, and it only targets that stem. It's very labor intense, but it's far less of any impact to any surrounding areas also. Like, N-Star uses a blower, they spray and do the power lines, but this is very selective. That doesn't mean it's good, and just,
Does it, I mean, well, I don't know chemically much about these things. I understand they're kind of dangerous. Does it eventually leach down into the groundwater when it's applied like
well,
that?
in this particular case, because they're not aerial spraying or whole area spraying, you know, with a wand sprayer or a blower, they take, it's like a little, it looks like a ketchup bottle with a bent straw on it. So they cut the stem of the Phragmites, and it's very hollow. So they take it and they put that in and they squeeze the bottle, and the chemical goes into that stem, which then goes down into the root system where the roots, it actually kills the root because they explode. Versus, like I say, a lot of places where they just, you know, spray everything, and there's nobody comes out alive. This,
You're saying the roots explode?
they actually, yeah, that's what,
And then what
Basically.
happens to the rodeo or the Roundup?
well, the
After they
Phragmites
explode?
is then cut flush, and it's hauled away, they take it away, and it's brought to a section of the landfill where it's composted, because they don't leave the dead stems there because they have seed pods, so they cut it off and haul it away. And that's how they did it all originally, they just hand cut it all. But they're at a point now where they've got it pretty much under control, so there's a little teeny bit left, and it's very aggressive, so they want to get it before it explodes all over the property again.
And it's safe for the water supply?
Yes.
This particular, yeah, as safe as Monsanto says it is.
It's all right.
Just leave it. That's fine.
Just one more question. The continuance right before this item, that was the perch pond dredging and also the remediation, I guess, or protection of the bank from erosion, that.
Correct.
Yes,
coconut
correct.
fiber log, that's continued?
Continued until May 18th.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Next up is Terrence Bradshaw, 14 Widgeon Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove the existing patio deck and construct a new larger deck patio walkway to install native shrubs, plantings, and associated excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
This isn't football player, is it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
You got a motion by Courtney, a second by Betsy. Comments, questions from the commission?
I have just one. Jen, is this in the DCPC?
Kitchen Road. Let's see if I can find the plan. I think it's right on that edge, right on that back edge.
Meaning it is, probably. The only reason I'm asking that is because,
Widgeon Road, one side of the road
I
is in the
it's-
DCPC
and the
and
other
one
side
side isn't.
um,
And I can't actually.
I'm sure Mark will probably check that, because,
I thought when I looked at it, it was out.
okay.
There's one side of that road that, when you're going down, the right side of the
Yeah.
road's in the DCPC,
Yeah,
the
it's
left
weird.
side is out of the DCPC.
And I'm sure Mark would have made note of
Address
that, only
that.
because
Here we
there's
go.
only so much expansion in the DCPC, and I think this property's had a few bites of the pie, so I just want to make sure it's not in there.
Okay. It is on the left-hand side of the road. I
Okay.
think it is outside
Outside
the
the
DCPC.
DCPC. Okay, thank you.
One side of that road is. Oh, wait a minute, no, that's Widgeon. I'm thinking of the other road. No, that's on the other, you know, you and I are thinking of the same road.
Wigwam. That's what
Yeah.
we're thinking,
Beach
yeah.
is a long
No,
way
yeah,
from-
this
Well,
is,
it
yeah,
doesn't
this
say
is over in
Racing Beach. I was
Sipawecet.
thinking Wigwam.
Oh,
No,
Thank
and
you.
I'm thinking,
Okay.
We're all thinking of the
We're all,
wrong
I'm
area.
thinking of a
I'm on the
different
wrong-
one.
I'm on the wrong road.
DCPC,
No,
let's
it's
just
not.
move on.
Yes, let's move on. We have a motion and a second.
the one I'm thinking
All
of
those in
is,
favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
no, it doesn't.
All right, Kevin and Patricia
The one side and the
Armstead,
other.
30 Catamount Street, East Falmouth, Mass. With permission to replace the existing timber retaining wall around the septic system with a stone retaining wall. Jen?
-2 under the state and the bylaw with the recess area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Maury.
This isn't teaching
Comments, questions from the public?
This isn't
Hearing
teaching
none, I'll
it.
call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Oh, now it's gonna bug me.
164 Acapesca Road, East Falmouth,
It's named
Mass.
that
With
road.
permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspools to install a new Title V sewage disposal systems with a pump, tank, and to remove a tree. Jen?
-2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Courtney, a second by Maury. Comments, questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
I'm sorry, I don't exactly, I couldn't hear exactly what she said. Is
She said
-2?
negative, that's what you want to hear.
That's what we're gonna hear.
Yes.
it- It's what, real quick, okay?
No means yes.
Circle gets a square.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments, or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, Roderick Colmer, 164 Acapesca Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing. Did I just? No.
No, you're on your
You got the
cover.
wrong one.
Oh,
Move on.
Paul and Robin Lyons, 53 Yacht Club Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove an existing paver, walkway, and steppers, and to install stone patios, stone steppers, 2 concrete AC pads, replace the gravel driveway with pervious pavers, install native bayberry mitigation shrubs, to remove abrevieties and replace with eastern red cedars. Jim?
-2 under the state and the bylaw, resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Betsy, seconded by Mike. Comments, questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Heather and Thomas Mahoney, 2 Elysian Ave, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a front porch, steps, retaining wall, parking area, pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspool connected to town sewer, contain stormwater on site, and to plant a tree. Jen?
-2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Then motion by Maury, second by Courtney. Let me ask you a question, Jen. The sewer part of it, they're covered by the blanket, right?
Yes.
That's why I was curious why that was thrown in there. Okay. Any other comments, questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Gage Family Living Trust, 216 King Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to install and maintain an in-ground swimming pool, dry well, patio, pool fencing, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Excuse me. -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed. So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion by Betsy and a second by Courtney. Comments, questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Next up, request for hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision of each authority. And first up tonight, we have Lisa Lyden, 63 Racing Beach Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. For permission
Thank you,
to
Jim.
enlarge a deck, erect a pergola, above the existing deck. Remove a patio, construct walkways, remove shrub junipers, and replant with new shrubs. Plant red cedars and the associated clearing, estimated grading and landscaping. John?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll hold any of my comments until after Mr. Rouse's presentation.
Good evening, Jeff.
Hello, how you doing? I'm Jeff Ryther with BSS Design, representing the applicant this evening. Just going to move that over a bit. So I'll briefly go through the resource areas at the parcel. And this is at the corner of Dusty Miller Road and Racing Beach Avenue. And it's pretty close to the bay, Buzzards Bay that is. So the resource areas is Buzzards Bay itself, that would be land under the ocean. We've got tidal action, a little bit of coastal beach. The riprap that's parallel to the road is a coastal bank. Then we have coastal dune, back to coastal bank, some BVW here at the bottom of the page. And the entire lot is in the velocity zone VE elevation 18. So that's it for resource areas. Next thing is it's a three-part project. There's a patio in the front that we want to alter that. We want to build a pergola on the existing deck, and then we would like to remove two small decks and build a larger deck connecting them. I'm going to go back to the patio. So in the patio, this is in the front yard. It's made of paver stones. It's 1,111 square feet of patio block. We are looking to remove all that, but put back two walkways that are shown on the plan. It's red here on my plan. A little cross there. This would go from the main entry to the road, and then from the driveway over to the side entry next to the proposed pergola. So the walkway going back is 231 square feet. The difference is 880 square feet of now pervious land here in the front yard. So also going back near this former, we'll say, patio would be to remove the large juniper shrubs here that are right above the leach field, and then plant back some smaller native plantings. And then also two 6 to 8 foot red cedar trees out here in front of that. So going around the corner a little bit, the next item is a pergola. And that's to be built directly over the existing deck with some walls on this deck. I don't know if you were there, but it's a pretty hardy structure. We're just going to extend up some lumber and put basically a wooden ceiling in, not a full structure roof, but timber. Some people call it California ceiling. But anyway, that'll be the pergola. Then coming around to the back, removing two decks, building back an addition to these decks of 200 square feet to this funny little shape here. Again, it's in red in my plan. The regulations allow for 200 square feet as long as you're not in another resource area or subject to section 10.18. And I believe this is covered in that section in the V zone. So I covered that. Again, I got 200 square feet of an addition there. We're going to remove the existing decks prior. We're going to limit of work staked in the field. I don't know if you got out there, but if you did, you'd see the staking. The corners of the deck were staked and marked on the ground as well. So that's the three pieces there. Down here, the lot coverage tabulation. This lot coverage is pertaining to the mitigation. We were proposing mitigation, although the calculations suggest that we have 680 square feet of new pervious surface, so therefore no mitigation is required. The regulations encourage that we provide some, so we have the new native shrubs here and the 2 cedar trees in the front yard. And that concludes the presentation. Okay?
Thanks, Jeff.
No questions.
Courtney?
No questions.
Maury?
I just have one question. The 2 cedars that you're gonna plant, they're in the Dusty Miller Road layout. Is that, I just don't know if they should be on the property or no?
Well, in a way, they are in the this is a private road, so, and it's also
I mean, I don't have any problem with it. 2 cedars are 2 cedars. I just wanna make sure that,
ownership would be basic to the center line, but in a private
Okay.
road.
Couldn't we
That's
put-
fine.
Couldn't we just put it as a finding?
Yeah.
And that if the road was expanded, those would have to be replaced within,
that'd be fine. Perfect.
yeah,
Can I,
Because it's a private road.
yeah.
It doesn't say private road on this. That's the only reason I asked. Usually they put private road.
Yeah, you're right.
If I could-
The entire subdivision's a private subdivision.
Okay.
It's all
All right.
private roads. but-
Courtney?
um,
Something else?
yeah, these roads in here, in this development, in Racing Beach, are not likely to become public. However, there's always that
Yeah, we'll
possibility.
just put that in the finding then.
And, you know, even though it's within, it's in the road layout rather than on the property, and I mean, personally, that bothers me, because, you know, if it's not their property.
Well, I think Jeff just said it's a private road, so
It's a private
they
road, it
own
is
to the
their
middle of the
property.
line.
No, not, do they in fact? Or are the roads owned by an association? It varies from development to development.
Well, I think we can still
So
allow it.
I'd just soon see those trees on their property, period.
You all set, Court?
Can I make a comment? I think that could be possible, just, there would be a shift of about 5 feet.
You're only
It's
talking
just
about
getting a little
moving
bit closer to
3
the
or 4
leach
feet.
field, so we didn't want to put it there, but if it's, okay with the commission, we'll just condition it that way, just to give them a little shove,
Okay. Mike?
No questions, I like it.
Betsy?
It's a tight spot, but it's gonna be a nice improvement for that area.
I assume you went out to see it.
I did go out to see
It
it.
is tight.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see these
You're right, I
houses.
think
I
the
think
roads
it's
are
over-
owned by the
it's not an
association, because they did the whole
overflowing
big
project.
drainage thing out there a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Is there an association?
Yeah. So
I
we'll
just
just
have a
condition
question
it.
about that drainage on the side. Anything that's practical to do about that? The downspout and the,
Which
probably
side?
condensate pump
Are we talking about in here?
on the west side, the southwest corner,
Down in here?
yeah. There's two drain pipes that drain the daylight. The water table's probably so high, I don't know, but it'd be nice to see a
We could
dry well,
probably add in some dry wells for those.
please.
Yeah, I didn't see that they are, I did walk the site, I didn't pick that up. I did see them going in the ground, so I assumed
Yeah.
they were.
One of them, at least one of them, I can't say that I saw two of them, but one of them, you can see it drains the daylight. Which one it is, I don't know.
Do you
Dry
want to
well?
add a special condition to add the dry wells,
Yeah.
if feasible?
Is that okay?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, the builder says it's no problem. is here in the back row, so.
I make a motion, we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
A motion by Betsy and a second by Mike. Any other comments or questions from the commission?
Because you're right. I
Comments,
think
questions
now
from
that
the
you
public?
say it, I think that is owned by MCC.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved.
All right,
Good
thank you.
job.
Okay, next up is,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Have a good night now. Next up is Erin O'Keefe and Ryan Rapsky, 12 Turtle Pond Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to conduct landscape improvements, including removing existing stone wall and constructing a 5-foot retaining wall, installing a 4-foot wide stone steps, flagstone walk, relocating rhododendrons, native mitigation plantings, and associated clearing, excavating, grading, landscaping. Mike, Jen.
I'll save any of my comments till after Mr. Borsel's presentation.
Mike, Jen.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Michael Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. The applicant recently acquired this property and retained the services of Muskowski Landscaping to make some recommendations about some hardscape improvements at the lot. The lot is on Turtle Pond Road, and the wetland resource in question is a pond, surprisingly called Turtle Pond. And adjacent to the pond itself is a BVW that was flagged by Vaccaro Environmental. We submitted the data sheets for that. The project basically has four elements. Number one is improve access to the front doorway from the driveway by installation of some masonry steps. Right now, there's a small retaining wall, and the access is by some small little stepping stones. It's not really that safe or really practical, so they'd like to build some real steps that would then lead up to the front door. There's no sidewalk or anything proposed. They just walk across the grass. The main access to the house would probably be to the rear or through the garage under part of the house. That does introduce some impervious surfaces in the outer buffer zone B to the BVW. So that's 48 square feet. We're proposing to provide back 100 square feet of native plantings. We're limited to doing it on our side of the street. There's no place on the other side that we control or is available to enhance the true buffer, so we're proposing them over here. Then on the other side, improve access to the backyard is the second element. There is an existing walkway that leads back there, and there is some stairs. We're basically going to improve that and make it more organized and safe, if you will. The third element is to change the topography right on the border between the outer portion of the outer buffer zone B and then an area that'd be beyond 100 feet from the BVW. It slopes there. There's a little stone wall here that doesn't really add much value to the landscape backyard. The sloping area would be proposed to be filled and retained by a new stone wall that would basically blend into an existing stone wall on the boundary. That would give them more flat surface in the backyard for outdoor living. There's a clump of rhododendrons that would be there. They'd like to move those, if possible, out to the street side of the lot. I know they're not natives, but they are plants, and they're in a place where they don't really, they're in the way to an area they want to have for outside That's the four things that they're proposing to do. We are showing the limit of work, just in case there's some siltation during the wall construction. We don't expect it, but just as a fail-safe, we show a typical cross-section of a masonry wall. On the plan, the wall is taller than 4 feet, so it needs an engineered cross-section. That sums it up. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Mike. Jen?
No, no questions.
Jamie?
Marked very well. What do you propose for containing the runoff during the construction? I was there when it was pouring rain, and it was crazy how,
Right now, we're proposing a silt fence in the grass area. If you'd like that to be backed up by wattles or something, we're happy to do that too.
I guess my question would be, is it far enough down slope?
We could move it too. I was trying to keep it consolidated.
Well, it's like the straw wattle down at the, well, in addition, straw wattles down along the road.
That's fine.
You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, it looked pretty vulnerable when I was there
Sure.
the other day.
We're fine.
That really would be my only hang-up.
So Jimmy, you want to add a straw wattle
At the,
to the limit of work and then along the road as well?
yeah,
Okay, sure.
I just think it'd be practical.
Would it make more sense to just shift the limit of work further away and then put a wattle backing it up down closer to the street? I mean, Mr. Muskowski's here, and that would be more practical
Yeah,
for him.
because you're gonna dig for the rhododendrons too, so.
Right, we could run it right along that post and rail fence
Yeah.
on that side of it, and that gives you all the room you need.
Yep.
Well, you're gonna have two of them though. I want another limit of
Yeah.
work up where you showed it. You can shift it down, but I want 2 sets of wattles. Okay?
Mhm.
That's not much to ask.
Thank you.
Betsy?
My only question was, how much fill are you gonna bring in?
I didn't calculate that. I can estimate it for you. Did you happen to do an estimate on that, Paul?
I would say it's probably in the 50-yard range.
Mr. Muskowski's saying 50 cubic yards, which is maybe 2 10-wheel loads, maybe 3 10-wheel loads
Yeah,
max.
2.5.
Okay.
Mike?
Northeast corner of the, just behind where the proposed stone wall is, there were 2 small oaks that are not identified on the plan.
Oh.
You had the-
They're right there.
Yeah.
They might have been off the property if they were on.
Not by where the stone wall goes. If the stone wall is the stone wall, the existing stone wall along the east side. This was clearly in that area, and it appeared to be just within inside our jurisdiction. And I mean just within our jurisdiction. I don't want to make too much of it.
I
think
do
you
show
can-
2 oaks. Are they 2 different oaks?
Yeah, there are, the 2 oaks I observed are north of the oaks you got shown.
So,
Well, I
Yeah,
could add
they're within a few feet of the property line, the east property line, and I certainly don't want to hold the project down for that, but we could replace them someplace else, and I'd be real happy.
Do you plan on cutting any trees?
I hadn't planned it, but I'll be respectful of those plans.
If it would please the commission, we can add the trees to the plan. We don't have a plan to cut them. We are gonna regrade, but I'm hoping they're in a place where they're not gonna be backfilled over. We'll have to take a look at that.
Well, you're raising that grid like 4 feet, so.
But I think they're just outside jurisdiction, and in that area, we're not raising it 4 feet. That's like where we're starting to blend to
If
that.
you don't have to cut them, that's fine. I mean, I'm, you know,
Mike,
it
put 'em
did-
on the
where
plan.
where I was standing there looking at it, it looked like you were trying to create more area.
Because
Yeah.
I'm
And these
going
trees
from,
would-
I'm looking at that 24-inch contour line, and then I'm looking at it like you have a spot graded, or a finished graded spot graded 28. So,
I
last
think-
time I checked, that was 4 feet.
But
So
I
just
think-
put them on the plan so we know, so in case they go missing or they get compacted root systems because of the fill, we can just have you
Right.
plant 2 more somewhere else.
Beautiful.
I'll add them to the plan.
Thank
There you
you.
go. Thank you.
I thought I got the trees. all of
Yeah.
them. That's what we give having an engineer on the commission.
I'm done.
Maury?
Mike, I saw in the wall detail, because there's really no top of wall elevation, but at one point, obviously, the wall's gonna be 10 feet tall, because it says, you're gonna have your coping overhang to be approximately 3 inches over walls 10 feet or more. So they're 10 foot high. It looks like that would be up near the house, because it's at elevation, it's hard because you have a stone on it, but it's 37. 37.0, or is it 30.4?
27.
Is it 27?
Well,
All
it's
right, then, all right,
30.4.
then 30. Okay, so it's, I'm just curious if the wall is gonna be 10 foot as you stated.
No, that's
That's why I
a,
was confused.
that's a standard note, it's a standard note.
Okay,
And it's saying if your wall happens to be 10 feet or more, you need the coping.
don't use so standard, because that really, like, 10 feet, I'm thinking, where are you putting this 10-foot wall?
But
Yeah,
if you
I was
also
just like,
look,
I've been out there, I'm like,
if you look, it says 5 foot maximum also. So
So that's standard too, huh?
I can take that 10
Take the
foot
10 foot off. Well, that's why when you were talking about fill, I was concerned.
I did show a couple spot grades. The top of the wall is 28, the bottom is 23.
Yeah, it looked like the highest you were gonna be is like 4.5 feet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I
Okay,
s-
so I'm fine with that. That's all I had, just the top of wall.
Gordon?
So, if this wall exceeds 4 feet, I believe you need,
It is engineered, that's what you.
yeah, it says 5 there, so, I assume you're having an engineer approve this?
I would be the engineer.
No, are you a structural engineer?
I'm a civil and I'm qualified to design structural.
Are you?
Civils can design structural.
Okay. You have no dead men back here behind this wall?
No, this is actually a standard detail that Mass DPW uses. It's a massing wall, that's why it's tapered. And it relies on the mass itself of the wall to.
So it doesn't need it?
Yeah.
What about at the top of the wall? You've got gravel here. Are you planning to put anything over that gravel?
Well, the backfill right behind the wall is
Yeah.
to be gravel because you want it to be porous, well-drained soil.
Right, right.
And then at the top is just going to be topsoil and grass.
So shouldn't there be a layer of filter cloth before you put the loam on? Otherwise, the loam's gonna work its way down through the rocks over time. Then it defeats the purpose, and then the wall falls down, and everybody's unhappy. And you'll be back in front of us, and the owner will be grumpy,
And I
all
won't get
because you
paid.
didn't put filter cloth in
I
there.
can also tell you who else will be grumpy.
I'm happy to,
I can help on this.
Okay.
Paul's here if he wants to, if he can answer that question.
Filter cloth's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trust me.
I'm Paul Scuffy, and we can use a filter cloth, although I'll say that I'm not planning on running the water directly into the top of the wall. Sort of a bad idea with a dry wall. So the water will sort of pitch off the area that is.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got, between where you've excavated for the wall, and then you've got it filled with gravel. What I'm saying is in that area between where where it's full of gravel, you put the filter cloth on there, then you can put loam on, grade it however you want, and you aren't gonna destroy the integrity of the 3/4 inch or whatever you use for stone.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem using it.
And that, I
We
mean,
just
filter
conditioned
cloth's
it,
cheap,
Courtney.
it's like
Oh, yeah.
buying a cheap insurance policy.
We'll condition that. We'll put
We
filter
just
cloth.
conditioned it, Courtney.
Huh?
We just conditioned it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You all set, Court?
Yep.
Okay, anything else? Take a motion.
I make a motion that we close this hearing and take it under advisement with a new plan within a week before we vote it.
Second.
They have a motion by Betsy and a second by Jamie. Any other comments or questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Charles Chevalier and Jean Murphy, 59 Minot Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove the existing stockade fence on the wall along the western side of the property, remove and reconstruct the wall at the same size and height but located east to eliminate town encroachment, repair cap of the existing wall on the south side of the property, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Okay.
I'll save any of my questions until after Mr. Borselli's presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Michael Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. We prepared the site plan that accompanied the application. And in this case, we also submitted a detailed plan prepared by a structural engineer, because we're not wanting to design this type of wall. So in the file also was attached to the notice is a detailed plan and specifications by Varn Philbrook. He's a local structural designs in Falmouth. If you went to the site, you know that it's a fully developed site. This is that old White House on Monot Road, right near the end of Mara Vista Ave. Mr. Chevalier actually bought it recently, and he has plans, he'll be back at some point to do some improvements and/or reconstruction of the house. That's a ways away. But for the time being, he's very nervous about the condition of the existing concrete wall, and if you went to the site, you can probably understand why. Funny story about the staking. It's hard to stake into concrete. We didn't want to put orange paint everywhere to mark it, so we actually took this. We have these pin flags, these small little pin flags. They're like dig-safe flags, and they're white, and they have the company name on them. So we actually tried to make little holes in the concrete, and then put the pin flags in for some of the things that were important, and that would have been the construction access. We actually put 2 stakes here for the construction access. We put a sign out here, and the other day it blew at like 35 miles an hour. And the sign, when I went there today, was over here, blown down. I apologize for that. The little pin flags were
Gone.
They were scattered, and the 2 stakes were they weren't gone. They
No,
were
I found
they
them.
were neatly stacked on
Yeah.
the picnic table next to the sign
Yeah.
that I picked up and put on the picnic table today. So I didn't understand why. There was a plumber working there. I asked him if he moved the sticks, and he said no. The owner did. The owner didn't understand why someone was putting stakes on his land. He said, this is my land, no one should be putting on my property, and took out the stakes and put them on the
Well, at least they didn't cut a buffer.
So, I mean, I've seen it all now. I didn't tell him that I would be staking it. I didn't even think he'd be on the property. He's only here in the summer. But somehow, I apologize. I'm hoping that there was enough physical evidence. There were paint marks on the wall here where we want to put it on top of this wall. There's still
On the shed.
one little pin flag back there by the shed. So, anyway. So, the applicant wants to basically replace the concrete block wall. It's concrete blocks that exist today, and it's about a foot over the lot line. I think when it was built way back when, they just didn't know exactly, they didn't take the time to have the lot line staked, and they built it where they thought the lot line was. So we discovered it when we surveyed it. Since it was in a state of disrepair and it needs to be fixed, we thought it'd be best to build it back on Mr. Chevalier's land, which means basically moving it back like a foot to the east. As I said, the construction access would be through here. There's a detailed plan that has all the specifications about the wall, the footing. It talks about, it's sort of like a specification, but also has some construction methodology notes on it. For instance, the existing fence that's here on top of it would be removed and stored, and when the work is done, it would be reinstalled on the new wall. There's talk about the type of block, concrete block material, and how the cap of this wall will be fixed cosmetically, which is basically just there'll be small steel drilled into the top, and then there'll be a formed high-density, non-porous concrete cap. Remove sharp edges. Stainless steel pins will be installed 12 inches on center, install the formwork and place level and finish. I'm not going to bore you with all that, but it's very much detailed on how the work will be done. In the notice of intent, under the proposed project, I did itemize a general construction methodology. The only thing I didn't talk about was removing the fence. So, of course, the fence will be removed and stored. Then the existing concrete wall would be removed in manageable sections. The debris would be trucked away to improve landfill. The excavation for removal of the existing wall would be modified slightly to make way for the new wall onto the property. The new footing would be installed. Then the new concrete blocking would be installed in accordance with the plans. And then the cap on this wall would be replaced, or fixed, I should say, because it's all spalled and cracking. And then the fence would be reinstalled, and any areas of the existing concrete slab that have to be repaired along this edge would be repaired and smoothed over and blended against the new wall. So that all the work is going to be done from this lot. It's urbanized. There's a riprap in front of the concrete wall. The wall itself acts as a vertical barrier. We don't anticipate any sedimentation or fill because there's no regrading or anything like that. The one thing we are a little concerned about is in this corner at a high tide, the water does sneak in here and there's a little tidal action, so this limit of work might have to be maintained on a daily basis until that footing is in. And that will probably be a day at the most. So if they work with the tide and plan the work accordingly, there shouldn't be an issue. Once the footing is poured, they'll have dry feet, and then it's just a matter of horses of block to build it up. So there's really not a lot of pouring of concrete, just the footing. The rest of it is block, as described on the structural plan. And I think that sums it up. I'm happy to answer questions.
Jen?
No questions.
Mike?
No questions.
Lori?
I just had two questions. Does any part of this new repair, or is this chapter 91 because the water touches it?
The riprap,
The riprap, I understand, probably is already licensed. right?
yes, in this wall,
But were you just talking with that erosion?
in this little corner.
Yeah,
It's in the title zone, and I'd have to check with DEP, but my discussions with Dave Hill at DEP are, if walls were shown on a licensed plan, then they're in effect licensed, even if they weren't specifically requested to be licensed. And at the time, they were probably not in the title zone, it eroded, so.
maybe you could just give it,
I'd
get
have
the,
to ask.
yeah, and if there's chapter 91 licensing on the riprap, usually they put that, you put that number out there somewhere. So just check that, because
Okay.
otherwise that's something you're probably gonna have to do.
Right.
The second question is, I didn't get into the office to see if there were any aerials of the fence, because you know how I feel about fences in V zones.
Yeah.
So if the fence was legally constructed in the day, then I guess it's there with a permit. But if it was not legally constructed without a permit, then I'm not too keen on putting it back. But that's just me. So if you could somehow have proof of that fence, it's legal installation, or if it ever had a notice of intent to put it up. It's a lot of fence in a V zone, and it's stockade, so it's not even like split rail where something can maybe go through, or for, to protect for safety issues. It's a lot of flotsam and jetsam in a hurricane.
I can tell you, this is what I do know. It's probably older than 1978, so it would have predated. I don't know if I can prove that, because I don't know if a fence will show up in an aerial photo. And I'm not saying that just to say, well, it predates your jurisdiction, so that's too bad, but I don't know. I tend to doubt it has any, there's any documentation of it's being permitted, so I would come back and tell you that, or that it's been in existence since prior to 78. I think that they want the fence because it's a windbreak. Southwest wind whips right through here, and it's also like a privacy fence.
Well, I'd recommend planting, but it's a concrete war zone there. There's not any planting.
So,
I mean, you can't blame them for nitrogen loading into anything, because there's no law.
no. I don't need a Falmouth-friendly lawn.
No Falmouth-friendly
Or
lawn.
underground irrigation.
No. Anyway, that was just the concern I had.
I'll look into it, I don't know if I'm gonna find anything.
I gotta be honest with you, I grew up in Heights.
Then see, there you'll know.
And I know there was a fence there, but I think it's been rebuilt.
It's probably been fixed over the years with the wind, but
But I remember specifically there was a fence there.
Okay.
So it's a hard one to prove that.
The mystery is, how did it survive 38 and 54?
Well, I know, it's 92 feet long.
I mean,
It's
that's-
It's a big
100
fence.
feet of fence.
in the house.
It's a big fence.
It's a big,
wait a minute, no way.
well, I just put my scale on it.
Did you put a 10 scale on it?
I know, maybe I put 100 scale on it, I don't know what I put on it.
Well, I'm
This is my first week back after a month, come on, give me a break. I was in Wigwam and Widgeon Road, two different towns.
I still can't think
At
of the
least
name
I
of the
wasn't in
road. that
Mashpee
One
like you
side's
were.
in the DCPC and one side's not. It's just gonna bug me all night.
It's not Wigwam?
It's
No.
45 feet long.
Sorry, I was
Because
doing
you're
20
using
scale.
20
I did
picture
use
the
20
road
scale,
in my head,
you
too.
messed me up. Okay.
Well, if I
Well,
did
still
20
50
scale,
feet of fence.
you wouldn't be able to.
Been there for-
I'll look it up tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna,
That's
let's
it's easier
not
tomorrow when I
hang
hang
up
up
on this.
I can go, there it is.
Let's move forward.
Okay, Courtney?
You pulling a building permit for this?
Absolutely.
That was also my question, should have been my question on the previous one too.
Yes, on both, yes to both.
Okay.
What required here, what, more than 4 feet?
I just assumed it was a requirement to do a building permit for
Yeah,
this.
docks and.
If it's over 4 feet in height, you should get, it has to be
Well, it's- it's
engineered in the
If
permit.
it's required, I mean, if you want to make it a condition, absolutely. If it's required, I am not involved with the construction, but I would think if you want to,
It's over 4 feet, you gotta get
Yeah.
a building permit.
Then they'll get a building permit.
Okay, that it, Court?
That's it?
Thank you. Chelsea?
I hate to bring this up, but I'm wondering if you need permission of the Board of Selectmen to take down the old wall. You hate that I bring it up, too.
I talked to Don Hoffa. I didn't get any.
Don Hoffer's not the Board of Selectmen.
I mean, I talked to him as the superintendent of the beach committee.
Yeah, but you have to talk to the Board of Selectmen to do stuff on town of Falmouth land.
Did you talk to Peter at all about this,
I would
Mike?
think that they would encourage this. This is gonna be better off.
Well, you could make a condition that the existing wall must remain until such time as you get permission, and you could build a wall on the existing wall. I would rather not do that, but I'm gonna have to write them a letter and go with it. I'm happy to do it, but I thought it was something that was so minor that they probably don't even know about.
You're still
But
working on town properties.
I understand.
That's the point.
I can submit whatever I need to submit to Jen from the selectmen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this would be a big deal, but just to be consistent with the other stuff.
That's a good idea.
The letter says something like, it's come to our attention that a wall went missing onto your property, and we're gonna remove it.
It's a logical condition.
Yeah, it's gonna improve the wall. I mean, it'll still serve the same,
The wall's
Function.
fallen down, we're gonna fix it, and by the way, it's on our land, we're gonna move it up. I go to
It's a
the
liability
box, I'll
issue
just
for the
Yeah.
town.
write them a letter to get on the agenda,
yeah.
bring some pictures. But if you wanna make it a condition, and I'll submit a letter before we start work.
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Thanks, Chelsea. Jamie,
No questions.
I got one for you, Mike. How are you gonna attach the fence to this new wall?
They're gonna put sleeves in the top, it's concrete block, so they're gonna anchor to the top, in sleeves. Probably stainless steel sleeves, or galvanized steel sleeves.
It was, when I was there, it was raining when I was,
Same here.
it was raining when I got to there, but there's also waves breaking over into the front yard, backyard, whatever it is.
When I was looking for the stakes on the driveway, there was seaweed on the driveway, so.
Well, that's, again,
Oh, I do
back to the
have-
fence.
I have one more question, and then I'll make a motion.
Oh, hang on just a second, Lori.
Back to the fence. Yeah, again, there's no opening underneath for anything to even flow through. It's really a vertical,
You wanna put a 12-inch gap?
I don't know, I really don't want the fence, but, you know, I'm not the only, I'm just one person.
Yeah, we can discuss
Yeah,
that.
We can discuss it.
Go ahead.
It gives me a headache.
There's one other thing I'm curious about. Given that it was all concrete, you have structure coverage is 27.3%. And then you have B, which is structures, parking, and paving. And it's only 31%.
It couldn't be.
But shouldn't it really be 58, 59%?
Well, we just separated it, that's all. No?
Well, the gravel driveway actually covers,
Did he?
is coverage, so it would
I
have
mean,
to
it's
be more
all-
than,
It's like 100%,
it's like 85 to 75% anyway.
minus this little grass.
Yeah, but it's Falmouth friendly.
Well, that's a good point, but I'll tell you what we do. I mean, this,
I mean, it's
Nothing to
concrete,
do with
concrete,
gravel.
concrete,
That's gravel.
concrete,
this is gravel right here, okay?
yeah,
This is where they park on the concrete.
yeah.
So that's parking, and the concrete slab is like paving, it's a hardscape, it's not a structure. It's considered like a patio. So in the zoning world, the only things that are structures are the house, the porch, the shed.
No, I'm not counting the structure one, it's the,
Right.
you have structures plus parking plus
Yeah,
paving.
it looks like
It's
that number's-
31%.
Yeah, we
So
probably did.
minus 27%, you're saying all that concrete and is 4%?
It's probably not correct.
Oh,
Can you make that adjustment, Mike?
Because I suspect what my draftsman did was count the house and the driveway and just didn't count that.
Didn't realize that was concrete.
Yeah. Well, realized it was concrete, but didn't realize they had to come, so.
Okay, I mean,
It's actually, it helps us in a way because it shows that there's more coverage and grandfather coverage, but it should be, the number should be right.
yeah,
I'll fix the number.
okay. So, I make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement with these little changes.
Second?
Got a motion by Betsy and a second by Court.
Before you close
Can-
it, the changes are
can-
the lot coverage, and
Permission from the Board
I
of
was gonna say, the
Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen, can we close this
Yeah,
without
but that's not
a condition?
that's not a change on the plan. The only change on the plan, I think, would be lot coverage.
okay, that's what I thought, but you had said a few changes, so.
Can we, I'm not comfortable closing it if they haven't even got permission from the Selectmen.
Well, they can't do anything until they have permission from the selectmen.
But
That
could
would be a
they,
condition.
so let me ask you a question, could they technically build that wall without even going to the selectmen? If they
And
left
leave
the
the
other
old
one in
one?
place?
Well, they still have to take that fence off, which theoretically is on town property, so they've got to go on town property to work.
Well, we'd only take the fence off if we were taking the wall out, so, I mean, if you really wanted to box us into a corner, we could leave that wall.
Leave the
I
fence.
will. Everybody should have just stopped talking. Mike, they're not boxing you into a corner. You were clearly on town property. We've gone through this before. You cannot file with us until you have permission from the Board of Selectmen. Everybody just should have stopped talking. So anyway, go get permission from the Board of Selectmen. I will allow you to go, I will allow it to be closed this once. Do not do this again, okay? If you are on town property, I don't care if you are 5 inches over on town property, just go get their permission first. It just makes everything cleaner and it doesn't, they're not boxing you into a corner.
No,
That you should have gone to the Board of Selectmen first.
all I meant was, the project can be done without touching the wall. We don't want to wait.
You don't want to
till,
do that, so you should have gone before
July
the,
to get the selectmen to finally put us on an agenda, that's what happens.
well, you know, that's not this board's problem. That, you know, your clients need to plan these things out a bit more, or you do. But because the Board of Selectmen can't get you on a hearing schedule, does not relieve you of the responsibility of getting their permission before you come to the board.
We will get permission, and if.
It's kind of like the BBW data sheets. Don't do it again, or I'm going to send you right out that
She
door.
said she'll let us close it, so don't say anymore.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So
Because you
Give it
said
a decay.
something, you said something, Mike, and you made me mad.
I again make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
And then,
Now we've changed everything here.
no,
We already have a motion on the floor.
Who was seconded? Courtney seconded the first
Yes.
time, right?
yeah, it's the same motion.
Right, okay. I just want to
Well,
get the
you said
seconds
with
correct.
changes to the plan, but do you want something else too?
No,
No.
No, that's good. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
I mean, can't be
Okay,
issued, we don't
next up.
issue it till we get, till the selectmen.
Continue
No, they
request
can't
for
start
hearing
work.
under
You have to
notice of
issue it,
intent.
you just can't start work.
Penzance Point Nominee Trust, care of William Marino, trustee,
You missed one.
153
Oh, no,
Penzance
that was
Road,
it.
Woods Hole, Mass.
We haven't missed
And
anything.
it's already been read into the record, so,
More.
good evening, Raul.
Good evening, for the record, Raul Lizardi, representing the applicant. This hearing will last the testimony of February 4th, and we had continued
That's a tax.
to allow for FEMA to issue their determination of the LOMAR. They issued their determination, and it was submitted last week to the commission. They actually approved the LOMAR as it was analyzed by the Woods Hole Group, and we're happy to have the hearing closed.
Jen,
No questions.
Courtney,
No questions?
None?
Lori, Mike,
Congratulations.
Betsy,
Nope.
Jamie?
Make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Betsy and a second by Jamie. Any other comments, questions? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
That was awesome, finally.
Okay.
Today is,
Hey, Betsy, can you read the quorum for 153, please?
which one?
The one we just did.
Oh, Penzance, that's where I'm looking. Jamie, Betsy, Russ, Mike, Maury, Courtney.
All of the above.
She gave them to me for the orders, not for the continues.
413.
Oh, okay. Yes. You all set then, Jim?
Learning curve, Mr. Chairman, we're still working on it.
Okay,
Doing a
next
great
up
job.
is Robert and Lorraine Williams, 26 Eel River Road, East Falmouth, for permission to remove an existing brick walk and patio and replace with a new bluestone patio, more land with plant drought tolerant fescue, which repairs to the existing dock or replacing decking with two-floor decking, replace joists and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Mike, up to
Maury, can you pass those down and put them in the record? Just photos of the dock. In the patio.
Can I, before you start, Mike, is there a reason why 418 Minot Road is bundled with 153 Penzance Road?
Mistake, take that out and put that on, if that's on for next week, that should not be there.
Okay.
Thank you, though, for
Thank
Betsy
you.
for catching that.
That goes in the file.
Because we would have been scrounging for that
All
file.
right, so I'll just put them separate.
Yeah. Is there an elastic over there you can put around those two?
Here, you can have this one.
It wasn't, oh, do you have one?
Is that the, yeah, put them around the 418. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, don't confuse me.
What's the quorum, Betsy? Because it was continued March 30th and I wasn't here.
No, it was never open.
Okay, then I was on it.
Good evening, Mike, again.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission,
Are you at Eel River?
Michael Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent
Why
the
do I have that
applicant.
plan?
The applicant's properties at
wasn't
26
open at all.
Eel River Road.
Mike, what's the date of that plan?
You should have a plan with a revision date of March 22nd on it.
Betsy, can you make sure the March 22nd revision is in the file, please?
Okay.
For some reason, I did not bring that one up with me. I just want to make sure it's in the file.
Revised, March 22nd.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike, sorry.
So I submitted a notice of intent application, and before I made sport of, page 1 of the notice, there was a typo.
The building and reconstruction versus patio versus dock.
Yes, so the heading on page 1 says building and demolition and reconstruction. We're not demolishing a building, we're not reconstructing a building. We're simply
Oh, right.
demolishing a patio and rebuilding a patio. Oh, I would assume that Commissioner Schumacher probably would have picked up on that if she were here.
I wasn't going to say anything. I figured I'd be chip enough on the last one, so.
I figured I'd say it before someone else. It's easier that way. So the application is a fairly simple one. There is an existing brick walkway and a small brick area in this area of the property that leads to an existing
Yeah.
licensed dock. And it is in a state, the brick patio is in a state of disrepair. It's actually very close to the escarpment down to the salt marsh. It's really not in a very convenient, usable shape. It's not very smooth. So the applicant wants to remove all of that brickwork and just reshape the area and put down crushed shells in its place, right in the same area. It's pulled back
No, I know
slightly
that. I saw the revision.
back from the salt marsh. and that edge can be stabilized with lawn, Falmouth friendly lawn, or lawn of drought tolerant fescues, low nitrogen, seed mix. So that's element one. Element two is the entire deck on the licensed dock is planking, and it's in need of maintenance and repair, so the owner wants to remove all of the decking and replace it with the through-flow grading, which you know of for new docks, which is a good product that allows sunlight penetration. It's fairly maintenance-free, splinter-free, it won't warp. This section,
Last year.
the joists on that need to be replaced. Some of them are rotting and not fastened properly to the cross members, so we'd like to maintain those joists by just replacing them here. On the main dock, they're fine, it's just this one section. So though the decking would be removed, the joist here would be replaced, the whole thing would be redecked with that through-flow grading, the whole thing. And that's the project.
Thanks, Mike.
Happy to answer questions.
Jen?
No question.
Betsy?
No question.
Jamie?
I think calling those joists is an overstatement. No question. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Mike?
Needs doing.
Maury?
I just had one question, Mike. On your Chapter 91 license, it doesn't show that area that you're putting the new patio, but I'm assuming that, I mean, obviously it's shells, so it's pervious, so it's fine. And the other thing is, I think that was it. That was the only question I had, was that.
Thanks, Maury. Cody?
No question.
I move that we close,
Good.
I move we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
A motion by Betsy and a second by Cody. Any other comments, questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Mike. Next up is Perch Pond Preservation Inc., which has been continued. So now we move on to continued request for amend an existing order of conditions. Robert and Laura McCormick, 93 T-Ticket Path, East Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the existing order of conditions, DEP 25-3990, to construct access stairs and a landing to the approved dock. Jen?
I'll save any comments until after Mr. Borsel's presentation. I have to find it. Here we go.
Welcome in, Mike. Thank you.
Again, for the record, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. The plan date on this should be March 11th.
Thank you, Mike.
You've seen this property before. You issued an order of conditions for a new dock. The order is still active. It hasn't been 3 years. The dock itself has been constructed and is in compliance. It's not complete. Some of the things, the minor, like cosmetic things, are not complete. So we haven't yet applied for a certificate of compliance. The property owners originally had thought that they would just create a path up the slope to their lawn. But once the dock was built, they discovered that slope is fairly steep. In fact, it is a coastal bank, a portion of it, this portion. And they'd prefer to make the access easier by having what we could have originally applied for, which was a walkway leading up to the flatter part of the yard, And where it gets a little steeper, some stairs down to the level that the dock is at that was approved. There's a typical profile of that. So that's shown in the darker brown color. It would start right here. This dock as it is ends right pretty much at grade. You step up, I think, one from the ground, one step. We can't extend it straight up. You might wonder why there's a jog like that. Well, there's a 12-inch tree right at the end of that dock. So what we did was show a little 90-degree platform and then stairs going up, and then it would level off and be at grade up at the top of the bank. So you would walk on this instead of walking down a path that would be relatively steep. I can't remember now if I had seasonal water and electric. I think we did, but the seasonal water and electric would be underneath this, and then it would just be very shallow dig across the grass here. So there'd be no digging up the bank for the utilities. Everything would be, connected up underneath the structure. So it makes for a safer, easier access, less potential damage to the bank, and we're avoiding any trees to do this. That's why I'm here, so I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thank you for avoiding that tree, Mike, because I got a picture of it from one of my commissioners. I don't have any questions.
Courtney?
No questions.
Warren?
No questions.
Mike?
No question.
Betsy?
This makes sense.
Jamie?
No questions.
Wow.
Awesome. Well,
I was gonna break this code.
You finally did it.
Close the hearing and take it under
I'll move to
advisement.
close the hearing and take it under advisement.
I get Betsy, and I get a second by Lori, so
Thanks, Mike.
any other comments or questions from the board? Comments or questions from the public? Here, call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, so moved.
It does happen, Mike.
Not often,
Not
but it does
often,
happen.
but it does happen.
As much as I can say, write the date down.
Have a good night, Mike.
All right, under other business, approve request to place a memorial bench at the Duke Conservation Area.
Yes, we've had a request through the 300 committee to place a memorial bench. Alex went out there, approved the location, the file's downstairs. I don't have the location committed to memory, but she did write you a memo letting you know that she had gone out there, I believe with Jack, and approved the location of the bench.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Betsy and a second by Courtney. Any other
She's gonna be
comments?
mad, I made her write you guys a memo and everything, and I don't even have it for you.
Alex,
You can
this
send it to us. You
Yeah.
can find
Show my
it.
ignorance, where is it?
Where is the Dupuy parcel? It's in Hatchville?
Off the
Oh,
Salem
okay,
Code.
fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Adam Manson, right?
Yeah, Adamancet.
There you
I
go.
couldn't remember the name of that road either, thank you, Courtney.
It's right adjacent.
No velocity.
No, 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 no.
It's
Yeah.
part
No,
of the-
no.
Fine, that's,
It's part of the
No.
greenway.
there you go.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Vote order of conditions. 10 Loomis Lane, West Falmouth. I'm trying to remember.
Everybody but, hang on one second, guys, everybody
not.
but Maury. I'm trying to let Maury go here.
Yeah.
I'm not on any of those.
Yeah,
You
you're
don't
not
wanna
on
let
any of
Maury
them.
go, she's
Hi,
gonna
Maury.
I have to take
Night,
Betsy
Maury.
home.
Oh, you gotta take Betsy home, so you're stuck.
The one time she could leave here.
It's okay.
You need no Snickers.
I'll take a step dealing with
Jen, can I have the keys to downstairs though, so I can get my stuff? Could that happen?
I can make
Yeah,
that happen. I don't want, if I throw this, I'm gonna hit Courtney in the head. I'm working on
And you
it.
don't deserve it tonight, Courtney.
Yeah, I know.
You don't deserve to be hit in the head tonight.
When he was the little acorn, yes, he deserved to get hit in the head. Not tonight.
Gotta wake people up.
Yeah, I know.
It was pretty funny.
Okay, this was
the acorn.
all of the multiple, I was like, which one was Loomis Lane? Then I remember. the multiple little additions and relocation of generators and
And no denitrifying system.
no, a relocation of the driveway, walkways. You guys remember this one? Yeah, you do? Okay. I don't have any notes on any special conditions on here, so does anybody have any special conditions other than your standard ones? You know, no irrigation,
I'll tell you,
happy lawn,
tell you what my
happy
concern
lawn,
was.
yes.
My concern was, they said, there are all these beautiful cedar trees. And they said the 3 cedar trees that are right in the middle.
Yes.
Are sick, so they're gonna come down, but the rest of the cedar trees,
Hmm.
well, we're gonna, it sounded a little suspicious to me.
I think we should have them certified by an arborist before they come down.
And I suggested that perhaps if they were gonna take them, they could replant them. And I can't remember whether it was Tom or Jeff, but whoever it was a little reluctant.
The answer
You either
is,
certify them by by an arborist that they're sick and they need to be removed and replant them, or you replant them. I mean,
Either way.
either way, you're replanting the cedars.
Yeah,
Yep.
So, do you want them certified by an
Yeah.
arborist first,
Yeah.
prior to them taking
'Cause
them
they're
yeah,
down?
because if
And
they're
if they're
perfectly
not
healthy,
sick,
why
they
move
don't
them?
come down?
Correct.
correct,
Okay.
But if they come down, they get replaced.
correct. That was my only concern. I mean, the rest was fine. It's gonna, again, it's one of these older houses that's gonna be kind of restored to the 21st century.
Okay, if removed, replant. 3. Insert Virginiana, got it. Okay, thank you.
So I make a motion that we accept this discussion.
second.
So we have a motion by Betsy, second by Jim. Any other comment? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Same form, and
Yeah, it's the same form throughout.
All right, 60 Rivers End Road.
This one I can't remember.
I can't remember any of them. Oh,
They
yeah.
have the
This is
limit of
the one
work
that had
running
the
down
limit of
the
work, the limit of
Yeah,
work
he
has
did-
to
he-
be behind where
the
the.
deck. It's
Right.
like runs down the middle of the deck and the back and things. What's
So I
that?
have to go around the shed, has to go around the shed.
And then it goes around the shed, it goes down the middle of the deck and the back.
It does?
Yeah.
I thought
And
so.
you're okay with the paver to patio?
I wasn't thrilled with the paver patio.
Pavement to paver. Basically, they're taking out, they use it as part of their calculation. They're removing the pavement, replacing it with pavers in the B zone and calculating it as a reduction.
It's an impervious surface. I mean, it's a constructed, you take a look at the detail, look at all this free draining material under it. There's
Well, then they
plenty of-
can't
there's
count
no
it.
crowding, it's-
Okay, everybody take, do you guys have your plan? Take
No,
out the
but I-
plan.
No, I know what you're talking about, and they want it,
They were taking
they're
it,
making it a wash and they're putting all that paver in the front yard.
they're taking it as a $273 credit. It's $73, square feet. Oh my goodness. I've had a long day. I've had a really long day.
If you're
How are
gonna
they-
save money, you gotta put the cents on the end.
Yeah, I know.
So they're claiming this patio is pervious.
No, what they're
No.
doing is they're removing part of the pavement of the driveway, making it a paver driveway and taking credit for it in the B zone.
Yeah, no, they can't get credit for it.
That's what you need to determine, because the way the regulations say is they reference pervious surface that does not support vegetation. You reference it in an A zone buffer, but you do not reference it in a B zone buffer.
Now, this comes back to.
See what I'm saying?
Dense grade, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
Dense grade supports vegetation, by the way.
No, I mean pervious paver stone, what are they putting under permeable pavers? You get a 4-inch base layer of stone.
It's pervious.
Is it pervious?
Oh, it will. It will not shed water. it will do that, but it certainly won't support any growth either.
No, and that's what they're saying, is in your regulations, your A-zone buffer distinguishes between impervious surface, so let me read it to you.
Yeah, and they say that dense grade,
Yeah, and this is in the B zone.
It's
That's
in the
why?
B zone, that's
Yeah,
why.
well, and it's,
So, okay, so listen to me, guys. For all resources, for all resources listed in FWR 10.185A, the amount of impervious surface or pervious surface that cannot support vegetation in the area must not be increased. That's in your A buffer. And your B buffer, so A buffer, any A development in zone A must occur in an area that lacks naturally vegetated buffer. Any increase in impervious surface or pervious area that will not support naturally vegetated buffer in zone A, blah, blah, blah. The B zone does not say that. The
yeah,
B
I can
zone
live with
just
that,
says,
because they can do whatever they, I mean, not whatever they want, but the B zone, the question is there mitigation required for it? You can put something in the B zone
yes,
that's
but
pervious.
are you gonna allow them to go from pavement to paver and take a square footage credit for it?
Because they're additional.
See what I'm saying?
No, well, why are they taking square footage credit?
You have an area.
Because they put
of-
it in their calculations.
Their logic. Their logic is you have an area of asphalt which sheds water and is not put into
Right
the
there.
ground. They're taking that area
This area
out
right here.
and putting in an area that is, for purposes of infiltration, pervious.
Mhm.
The way I look at it is you're going from asphalt that doesn't do anything for the environment, to brick, which doesn't do anything for the environment, but we're gaining infiltration.
But so they should have, so what you're saying is, do they have, is mitigation planting in the A zone required for this?
No. What I'm asking you is, are you going to allow this practice where they take impervious surface and make it quote-unquote pervious and allow them to take a credit for that in the B zone and add it to their A zone you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, but the
basically,
question is, are they gonna have to do any mitigation planning? I mean, if you take credit for your increase or decrease in the buffer, it has to do with how much mitigation planning you'd have to give, correct?
well, if they took that out, they would have to do mitigation plan.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Well, yeah, if you don't
And I
allow them
think
to do
yes.
that.
I think yes. They can do this. They can do this because it's in the B zone.
But they can't
But there's-
take the credit for
They
it.
can't take the credit. They have to provide mitigation planning.
Okay.
If you, just so we come back, if you take a look at under stormwater management, best management practices. That type of pervious brick with the underlying stone, which clearly infiltrates water, is best management practice. It is getting stormwater, you're taking care of the stormwater. And that's where they're headed, or coming from. You hear what I'm saying? That they're, part of our regulations are to improve groundwater, and they're doing that.
I don't have a problem that they're doing that. I don't have a problem that they're doing this, but they have to give some mitigation.
Okay, as long as we're all on the same page, I'm just
Yeah.
explaining that.
Well, the logic,
So basically, in the B zone
point is,
cover,
once we allow that, the mitigation, not,
If I just put my one hat on, and I don't wanna beat this, but if I do one thing, we got this piece of asphalt that's sitting there that wasn't designed with any infiltration as it would be today, there's no investment practices, and they're coming along and they're making it better. It's an improvement, that's what they're doing.
Well, okay, so they could use that as their improvement in the B zone because they don't require mitigations, but are you going to allow them to use that as a credit for mitigations that otherwise, mitigation plantings that otherwise would have been required? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
That's up to you
So they
guys.
got a net increase of 163.
Yeah, but then, what have we done in the past in these situations?
I don't think you've been faced with this
We've
situation.
never had it, that's why it's
So-
important to do to discuss this.
Yes.
So if they're replacing it with pavement with patio things, what do you call it, pavers, we're saying that's great, that's an improvement, but there's no credit? Is that-
Correct.
Is
Yeah,
that
they
the
don't get credit.
Yeah.
So what happens, just exploring this a little, what happens if somebody tears out asphalt driveway and puts in lawn?
You allow that.
Well, what's the difference?
You know,
I don't
know
have to answer
people-
that question. You guys do.
I know people have a problem with this, but if you don't fertilize your lawn, grass takes up nitrogen.
I'm not arguing, then I'm back to the question. They're making what's the difference between taking out asphalt and laying in lawn as opposed to taking out asphalt and letting the pervious system that lets water in?
Because you're not removing any nitrogen from the system. When you grow grass, you're taking nitrogen, you're taking nitrates, and you're turning it into plants. Now, the question is what people do with their lawn cuttings. That's another question.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that, an area, it's been somewhat of a gray area all through the time I've been on this commission. And I think we
Hasn't
need
been a
to,
gray area.
I think we need to take a look at it, because one of the broader questions, and it's always bothered me, is, when you take pavement out and somebody has a driveway and they put dense grade down as a compacted surface, as an all-redded thing. The argument is that that's not pervious. Well, it is pervious. And
For 2 inches
what's
and then
the
it goes like
difference?
that.
What's the difference between dense grade or clay? Both of them are not going to let water pour through them like they would gravel.
Well, one of the problems we have is in, I think, our terminology. If you speak to the language of the hydrologist, you have an idea of what pervious and non-pervious is. If you talk about our regulations, part of it is what does it support?
Yeah, because there are other functions
There are other
besides just
functions
allowing.
besides just hydrology. So that's where we get our.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the reasons why we are concerned about impervious surface is because number one, it isn't supporting vegetation, but it also, because it creates a stormwater management issue, because you've got runoff from that surface.
This system addresses that question. And they're going from having more runoff because of its asphalt to less runoff because it's pervious.
Yeah.
But you're talking about it in
163
sorts of
square feet.
mitigation planting requirements, not whether or not it's pervious or not.
Calculated it.
All right.
Yeah. You guys are looking at it from 2 different points of view.
Jen,
Well, that's where the
163 square
applicant
feet.
presented.
Yeah. What was that?
Jamie just calculated, 163 square feet,
Was that times 2?
times
That's
2.
what-
Is
what
that,
the
is
B
that
zone?
already
It's in the B
multiplied
No,
or
no,
no?
no, I'm sorry.
Times
Not
2.
multiplied.
Times 2.
Well, they're gonna have to redo the calcs and submit a revised plan.
326.
All right, then they don't really have the room on the lot for that, so they're gonna
No,
have to
they don't.
figure something out, so. Okay.
That's a tree or two. I don't know, I mean, is there any,
I don't know, I have to look at the plan and whether it's a 3-to-1, or a 2-to-1, or a 3-to-1. I think it's a,
so how about if that piece of it, we allow staff to negotiate that? Is that the
no,
word? No?
I'm not negotiating something like this.
So we're gonna tell them 326 square feet in,
We're gonna have them redo the plan and provide the appropriate mitigation plantings. If they can't do that, then
They can come back for an
they
amendment.
can come back for an amendment.
I move that
mean-
we accept this as we discussed it.
Second.
Motion by Betsy and a second by Mike.
Big addition.
Any other?
So there's a condition in here now that they have to get, what is it, how many square feet?
They have to redo the calculations, provide the revised plan with the appropriate calculation and mitigation, or, you know, they can come back and request an amendment, Courtney.
Okay, so that's the way it'll appear in
Yeah.
the order. Okay.
Well, I'm not gonna sit there and say, or you can come back and request to amend it. If they don't like it, they can come back and request to amend. That's always an option for them. I do
Well-
not need to hold everybody's hand.
No, but I mean, if they can't get 300 feet, they can't do the project. I mean,
They can figure it out. They're smart people, Courtney.
I understand. All I want is it expressed properly.
I've always expressed this properly.
And just to add, we allowed them to move the limit of work.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they did submit a revised plan. It should be in there. Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, let's go call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. 67 Carl Landy Circle.
Yes, that is the big restoration plant project.
I have a question about this one.
Okay.
Somebody asked this question. And that was, and I suppose Mark suggested that they take this wall down by the river.
I don't know any of the negotiations between Mark and the property owner.
Yeah, I'm not entirely thrilled with having them take the wall down. I just assume let it naturally disintegrate and, you know, kind of bind by vegetation. I'm afraid if you take the wall down, you're gonna have sediment going into that.
So you wanna leave the wall?
Give them the option. They've negotiated with Mark.
If they remove, I want a site visit on prior to the removal, so we can talk about how they're gonna stabilize that area with grading and jute netting, and they did submit a revised plan, because I did ask them to switch the plethora out of the wetland area.
Right.
And maybe put the wetland plants in the wetland area and the drier plants in the upland area. I kinda thought that was
Reasonable?
reasonable.
More likely for those plants, all the plants
To survive,
Right.
and add jute netting to the, so they did submit a revised plan already, but I'll give them the option of whether or not they wanna leave the wall or remove it. But the plantings do need to go
I agree with Betsy.
in.
I think you should leave the wall alone.
Well,
Eventually, that wall's just gonna disintegrate,
Right.
but by that time,
Planting
know,
with
they'll-
everything else will be well
everything will-
established.
yeah,
well, I'll give them the option,
okay.
okay?
But also that they'll have to have somebody check it if they are gonna remove it.
Yeah, if they're gonna
Yeah.
remove it, they're gonna have to have, if remove, a site visit.
Okay, I move that we accept as discussed.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. 161 T-Ticket Path.
Well, I think the fact that they had to come back with a new maintenance plan and a new notice of intent, that handled most of our questions.
They did that, though.
They did, I say,
Yeah.
I don't have
So
anything else.
basically, we'll make the appropriate findings that it absorbs wave action instead of dispersing it.
Yeah, and it allows, in a storm, it allows sediment to be added to the system.
Okay. Work at low tide. I do not want to see a bobcat in the intertidal again. Anything else?
That was it.
No, I mean, they're trying the soft solution. The maintenance plan will need to be maintained.
Yeah, and they added the maintenance plan
Yep.
too, not just once a year,
Okay.
checking it
I think
after storm.
it's a good, you know, kind of compromise. So we'll see if we can move forward finally with this property.
Okay, I move that we accept as discussed.
Second.
I lost my agenda already.
We got Betsy and Mike. Any other discussion? Good court? Good? Okay. Call for the vote then. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. 155 Knobska Road.
It's the replanting of the MBL or Hui property?
MBL.
Replanting of MBL property. Planting plan was fine, the only issue was the planting of that oak tree. Betsy, you still want the oak tree?
Oh, acorns.
Yes,
Okay, shut it.
there are 3 oak trees that are gonna be planted, and the plan they gave us showed where they were gonna be.
Okay, 3 oak trees to be planted. Only time I've ever seen Chairman Russell gavel someone down.
No squirrel.
Okay, other than that, it was a fine planting plan.
Yeah,
And
if it were my property, I'd have a fence all around that upper part, because it's not just the end of the
no,
steep slope,
that's
all the steep
that's
slope.
scary sight.
But, you know, that's their choice.
Yep.
I move that we accept.
There you go.
Yeah,
Do we have a motion?
yeah, make a motion that we accept.
Second?
Motion by Betsy, second by Courtney. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Make a
opposed,
motion to
no.
adjourn?
Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Move to adjourn.
I will ask
On
the
the
board,
motion,
if you do get
On the
out,
motion, and a second by Courtney.
The
To
acorn.
adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Abstentions, we are adjourned.
I would ask you all to go out to the Bridal